Hello boys and girls, my name is Buddy Davis, and this here is my dog Casey. Don't you just love God's wonderful creation? Well, in this first video that my good friend Ken Ham and myself put together, we're going to show you just how amazing God's creation really is. Now, who ever heard of a fruit-eating Tyrannosaurus Rex, or a funny-looking varmint that has a bill like a duck, hair like a bear, tail like a beaver, lays eggs like a turtle, feeds its young with milk like a mammal, and has poison like a snake? These are just a few of the fun questions that we're going to answer today. Now, I want you to watch carefully and listen close, and to help you do this, we're going to do something that's really fun. Every time that Casey comes on the screen and barks, I want you to remember what's being said, because I'm going to quiz you at the end of the video. Are you ready? Put on your thinking caps and let's watch.
Well, my name is Mr. Ham, and over here I have Buddy Davis. Buddy Davis is actually a dinosaur sculptor, he's a taxidermist, he's a singer, and Buddy Davis comes all the way from a place called Henpeck, Ohio. It's a strange name, isn't it? Henpeck, Ohio. Well, boys and girls, put your hand up if you've heard of the word evolution. Oh boy, I think just about everyone puts their hands up. Hands down. Put your hand up if you've heard that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. Dear, oh dear. Hands down. Put your hand up if you've heard that people came from ape-like creatures or something like that. You know, I think just about everybody in the world has heard those things. And I want to tell you right from the start here this morning that neither Buddy or myself, we don't believe in evolution. Evolution is the idea some people have to explain life without God. You know, when you came in here this morning, did you look at this building and say, wow, it got here by an explosion in a brick factory? You don't think that? No, you know, somebody designed this building. And I certainly don't believe that life came about by chance random processes millions of years ago. In some soup in the sea, life was formed, and then one kind of animal changes into another, ape-like creatures into people, until finally here we are in Pennsylvania. I don't believe that at all, do you? No, I believe what the Bible says, actually. I believe that God created everything. We're going to talk about that in a little while in more detail. I don't believe that dinosaurs lived millions of years ago, and I certainly don't believe, and neither does Buddy, that you came from ape-like creatures or anything like that. I mean, did your grandfather look like that? I don't think so. Did your grandmother look like that? No, not at all. In fact, you're very, very different to chimps or to apes and creatures like that. In fact, here's a man, and he's looking at a chimp, and he says, I can think, compose music, build bridges, fly airplanes, make computers, what can you do? And all he can think about is what? A banana. Well, boys and girls, I don't believe we came from ape-like creatures. I don't believe in evolution, don't believe in millions of years. I believe what the Bible says. Do you know the Bible is a very special book? It's a unique book. It's different than any other book in the whole world, because the Bible claims to be the Word of God, who knows everything, who's always been there, who's told us the whole history of the universe. In fact, you know what I call the Bible? The history book of the universe. Let's say that in a loud voice. The history book of the universe. And mums, dads, and teachers, here's the history that the Bible teaches us, that God created a perfect world. He created everything in 6 days, just a few thousand years ago. That the first man, Adam, sinned and death came into the world, and there's the origin of death. That there was a global flood at the time of Noah's day. And so all the life on the land was destroyed except those on Noah's Ark. And Noah's Ark landed in the Middle East, and the animals and people got off the Ark. And then there was an event called the Tower of Babel, when God gave different languages, and that would cause all the different people groups like the American Indians, Fijians, Hawaiians, Eskimos, Australian Aborigines to form. And then Jesus Christ, the Son of God, stepped into that history. Because the first man, Adam, sinned, we'd be separated from God forever, so he stepped into history to die on a cross and be raised from the dead, so those who trust in him can spend eternity with him, and one day there's going to be a new heavens and a new earth to come. That's the true history of the universe that God has told us. And you know what I'm going to show you here today? Buddy and I are both going to do all sorts of interesting things to help you understand that what the Bible says is true. It explains the universe, it explains who you are, it explains dinosaurs, it explains fossils. Isn't it exciting being a Christian and knowing we have a book that's the true history of the universe? Really is, isn't it? Well, the Bible starts off by telling us that God made everything in 6 days. Tells us what he did on each of those 6 days. On day 1, he made the heavens and the earth. Day 2, the atmosphere. Day 3, the dry land and plants. Day 4, the sun, moon, and stars. Day 5, the flying creatures and the sea creatures. And day 6, he made the land animals and man. And do you know how he made the land animals? He said, let the earth bring forth the animals. Do you know how he made the first man? He said, let us make man in our image. And you know, I want you to understand something. You are very different to the animals. In fact, you're not just an animal. You have a body, like a mammal's body, that's true, but you're not just an animal. I want you to say after me, I'm not just an animal. Can you say that? That's right, you're very special. You're made in the image of God. You're not just an animal. You're very, very different to the animals. Well, you know, when God made the animals, he made some delightful animals. In fact, I think the best animals in the entire world, have a guess which country I think they come from? Australia, of course. Definitely. Well, I happen to have that bias, don't I? Does anyone know the name of this animal God made? Oh, a koala. I think every American boy and girl wants to go to Australia to cuddle a koala. Of course, there's a big secret we don't like to tell too many people, but I'll let you in on it. Do you know, in Australia, we know this, but in the wild, koalas are actually smelly flea-bitten varmints that rip your eyeballs out. But we don't tell too many people about that. We don't want them to know that. But a koala is a marsupial, has a pouch. Here's another animal that has a pouch. You know, when I look at these animals like these in Australia, I don't think of evolution, I think of creation. And I'll tell you why. Do you know a kangaroo, when it is born, it's only about, half an inch long. It looks like a little red jelly bean and has a mouth and two legs. It doesn't have any eyes. It can't see. Can you imagine a jelly bean with a mouth and two legs, and it comes out of the birth canal and crawls up the pouch, and it knows where to go, what to do and how to do it, and it crawls into the pouch, it knows where to go, what to do and how to do it, attaches itself to its mother to get its milk and develop from there. Who thinks that happened by chance, random processes over millions of years? Who thinks it was designed that way? Yeah, when I think of the kangaroo, I don't think of evolution. I think of what? Creation. And you know what I say to my kids? It's designed to do what it does do, and what it does do very well, doesn't it? Don't you think? They think it does. I do too. Hope you do. Do you, by the way? I hope so. We have a great time talking about those animals. Here's another animal that reminds me of creation. It's a wombat. Can you say wombat? Now, a wombat has a pouch like a kangaroo, but it doesn't face forwards. The pouch in a wombat faces backwards, and so all the young jump in at the rear end. Can you imagine that? And I have people say to me, Mr. Ham, why does a wombat have a pouch that faces backwards? Well, students, a wombat tunnels under the ground. Can you imagine what would happen if the pouch faced forwards? It'd fill up with dirt and you get fossilized wombats real quickly, wouldn't you? Guess what I say to my children? It's designed to do what it does do, and what it does do very well, doesn't it? Don't you think? I think it does. Hope you do. I do. We have a great time talking about those animals. And again, I don't think of evolution when I see the wombat. I think of what? Creation. But I want to tell you my favorite animal of all time. Does anyone know the name of this one? Platypus. In fact, Buddy has a platypus right here, don't you, Buddy? There it is. Did you know when it was first discovered in Australia in 1797 and they sent it back to England, scientists thought that somebody had obtained all these different animals, chopped them all up and stitched them all together to make one animal. Can you imagine that? You know why? You imagine finding an animal like this. It has a bill like a duck, hair like a bear, webbed feet like a otter, tail like a beaver, lays eggs like a turtle, feeds its young on milk like a mammal, has spurs like a rooster, and has poison like a snake. I mean, if you believe in evolution, it evolved from everything, didn't it? By the way, the platypus is my favorite animal because I think every time an evolutionist looks at the platypus, I think God smiles because I think he made it just for them. That's why it's my favorite animal. And you know what, boys and girls? Buddy Davis has made up a song about it's designed to do what it does do, and what it does do very well. It's a song about the platypus, and we want you all to sing this song. And here's the chorus. Let's say the words of the chorus together, and then Buddy's going to sing it, and you sing along with Buddy, okay? It's designed to do what it does do. What it does do well, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I think it does. Do you? I do. Hope you do too, do you? Think you can sing that?
Well, the Lord must have had a whole lot of fun when he took several critters and made them into one. He made the critter and put it in a river. It lives down under in Australia. It's designed to do what it does do. What it does do well, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I think it does. Do you? I do. Hope you do too. Do you? On day 6, God created it strange when he took this and that from several things. It's a mammal like a kangaroo. It has poison, sonar, and milk too. It's designed to do what it does do. What it does do, it does do well, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I think it does. Do you? I do. Hope you do too, do you? I think the Lord laughed when he put on the fur. With the chuckle he gave it a rooster's spur. It's got a duck-like beak, a beaver's tail and feet, and it lays eggs down by the creek. It's designed to do what it does do. What it does do, it does do well, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I think it does. Do you? I do. Hope you do too, do you? It makes evolutionists scratch their heads. What on earth is that, they said? It's a platypus. What a grand design. It does what it does, and it does do fine. It's designed to do what it does do. What it does do, it does do well, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I think it does. Do you? I do. Hope you do too, do you?
Seeing as he sang a song about an Australian animal, I think it's only fair, seeing as we're in America, that he sing an animal about an American animal too. Do you think so? Who's ever heard of a bird called the woodpecker? Oh, well, Buddy has a real fun song about the woodpecker.
How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? When the woodpecker pecks, that woodpecker pecks as much wood as it should peck wood. God made the woodpecker on day 5. When he finished, he said, it's good. How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? You'd think that woodpecker's bill would break or get a migraine when it eats. But God designed that woodpecker kind with a spring behind their beak. As they drill in a tree, it amazes me. Those birds don't break their necks. But how much wood does a woodpecker peck when they go peck, 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 peck? How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? When the woodpecker pecks, that woodpecker pecks as much wood as it should peck wood. God made the woodpecker on day 5. When he finished, he said, it's good. How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? That woodpecker sounds just like a drum as he thumps against the tree. He blinks his eyes and the sawdust flies, he'll never miss a beat. God put a cushion in its head so its brains don't turn to mush. Put sticky stuff on its tongue so it can catch those buck, 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 bucks. How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? When the woodpecker pecks, that woodpecker pecks as much wood as it should peck wood. God made the woodpecker on day 5. When he finished, he said, it's good. How much wood does a woodpecker peck when a woodpecker pecks on wood? When the woodpecker pecks, that woodpecker pecks as much wood as it should peck wood.
See, we can have fun as a Christian talking about God's creation, can't we? Well, you know what, boys and girls? God made, as I said, the sea creatures, the flying creatures on day 5, the land creatures he made on day 6. And when God made the land creatures, he then made the first man, Adam. And when he made the first man, Adam, he made Adam from dust. He brought the animals to Adam and he wanted Adam to name them. You could think of Adam saying, wow, Dodo, that's a great name. And Bear, that's another name. We're not sure of the names that Adam gave to them, of course. But you know, here he is, he's naming all the animals. He looks around, he says, wait a minute, there's male and female chimp, there's male and female dodo, male and female deer. Where's Mrs. Adam? There was no one that looked like him. I mean, he didn't look at a female chimp and say, oh, she's close enough, I'll date her. He didn't do that, did he? There was no one that looked like him. And so you know what God did? He put Adam to sleep, and out of his side he made the first woman. And the first word Adam said was, wow, which is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh in Australian English. But anyway, hey, boys and girls, I want you to have a look back here. I want you to look at something. Can you see those animals in the background there? In fact, those green animals there, what do they look like? Well, they look like dinosaurs. And what is that animal back there in blue near the wow? It looks like a what? A dinosaur. Mr. Ham, are you saying that God made dinosaurs on day 6 alongside of Adam? Yes, because if God made the land animals on day 6, he made the dinosaurs. They're land animals and they live beside Adam. By the way, I can prove it to you. I have a photograph that Eve took in the Garden of Eden. And there you can see Adam and T-Rex all living happily together. Well, if she did have a camera, that's what it would have looked like, I'm sure. And you can imagine if there was a newspaper in the Garden of Eden, the headline would have been, "Dinosaurs made on 6th day, read all about it, dinosaurs made on 6th day." And here we are with all the dinosaurs and Adam and Eve living happily together. Say, Mr. Ham, how long ago was that? Well, if you add up all the dates in the Bible, it only comes to about 6,000 years. And I have boys and girls say, Mr. Ham, wait a minute, what about the scientists that say dinosaurs lived millions of years ago? I want to teach you something very special this morning, something from the book of Job. You know what God taught a man called Job? He said, Job, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? In other words, where were you? Were you there when I made the earth, Job? And I want you to remember this, boys and girls, something you'll never forget. The next time somebody says millions of years ago, I want you politely and nicely, you put up your hand and say, excuse me, were you there? Can you remember that? Next time somebody says millions of years ago, what do you say? Oh, you can say it louder than that. Next time somebody says millions of years ago, what do you say? Were you there? You know something? I've had boys and girls come to me and say, Mr. Ham, we asked the evolutionists, were you there? And they said, no, we weren't, but they said you weren't either. What do we do now, Mr. Ham? I say, well, that's easy. You say, no, I wasn't there, but I know someone who was, and I have his word, and I have the history book of the universe, which tells us all about dinosaurs. Are you interested? Do you remember that? See, boys and girls, think of this, and I want you to answer in a nice loud voice. Has any human being always been there? Yes or no? No. Does any human being know everything? No. Does any scientist know everything? No. Has any scientist always been there? No. Who's the only one who's always been there? God. Who knows everything? So, in a big loud voice, who should you always trust first, God or the scientist? God. And I want you to remember that. Well, you know what? I really think that Australian boys and girls are more intelligent than Americans. Do you agree with me? You don't agree with me? Okay, we're going to do a little test. See, when I put up pictures of dinosaurs, I find out that Australian boys and girls all know the names of these dinosaurs straight off, without any hints at all. So I want to see if you do. We'll see if you're really as intelligent as them. So as soon as you know the name of this, call out, and we'll see if you're as intelligent as an Australian. You ready? What's the name of this dinosaur? Wow, you really are as intelligent as Australian boys and girls. That's really great. Triceratops. Oh, he was built like a tank, probably weighed 9 or 10 tons or so. But let's see if you know the name of this one. What's the name of this dinosaur? Wow, you know, wherever I go in the world, boys and girls know the names of these dinosaurs. That is absolutely remarkable. I wonder how they do that. Well, anyway, do you know that Stegosaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs? It reminds me of some of the students I used to teach when I was a teacher, because its brain was really not that much bigger than the size of a walnut. But we won't talk about that too much. Does anyone know the name of this one? Oh, Brachiosaurus. Oh, that's very interesting, isn't it? Brachiosaurus. Yeah, one of the biggest dinosaurs of all. He had a head that was actually, when you think about his body, probably about 20 feet tall, and then the head raised another 20 feet, 40 feet high in the air through the top of this building. Wow. You can imagine he must have been a heavy dinosaur. But I wonder whether you know the name of my very, very favorite dinosaur. Tell you what we'll do. I'll count to 3, and you think about what might be my favorite dinosaur, and you yell it out in a loud voice, and let's see if you get it right, okay? What do you think is the name of my favorite dinosaur? 1, 2, 3. Oh, I heard a lot of different dinosaurs, but you know what I heard more than any other was Tyrannosaurus Rex. Do you know why I like Tyrannosaurus Rex? I like him because I like his teeth. Here's a tooth of a T-Rex. Look at that. Doesn't it look like one of the teeth of your teachers sometimes when they look at you and say, Johnny, have you done your homework? And you think, uh-oh, T-Rex. Well, anyway, we'll talk more about that a little later on. Did you know, when I look at dinosaurs, I certainly don't think of evolution. You know, Buddy Davis is actually a dinosaur sculptor, and here he is sculpting dinosaurs. And Buddy, come and give us the name of this one here that you're sculpting. I think this one is...
That's a Velociraptor.
A Velociraptor. You know, it takes a lot of intelligence to sculpt dinosaurs like that. I mean, you look at Buddy, he doesn't look that intelligent, but, you know, it does take a lot of intelligence to sculpt dinosaurs. And what's that one, Buddy?
That's Pachycephalosaurus.
Pachycephalosaurus. And what's this one?
That's Ceratosaurus.
Ceratosaurus. And what's this one?
That's Dilophosaurus.
Dilophosaurus. See, Buddy sculpts these. Boys and girls, do you know what? If it takes a lot of intelligence to make a model, do you think it took a much greater intelligence to make the real one? Yeah. And who do you think that intelligence is? That's right, the God of the Bible. One of Buddy's favorite dinosaurs is Parasaurolophus. Can you say Parasaurolophus? You know why it's one of his favorite dinosaurs? Because it has some tubes that Buddy thinks were used to make a sound, and he took the skeleton of a Parasaurolophus and he made a musical instrument based upon those tubes in the head, and so Buddy thinks he knows what a dinosaur might have sounded like. Would you like to hear it?
Yay!
Who thinks that sounded like a dinosaur? How do you know? Were you there? You weren't there, you don't know that. Buddy Davis wasn't there, he doesn't know that, but you never know, it might have sounded something like that. Well, you know what, boys and girls? You might say to me, Mr. Ham, wait a minute, you're saying God made dinosaurs. That's right, but the word dinosaur is not in the Bible. Well, that's true. Did you know the word dinosaur wasn't invented till 1841? Let's say that date together. 1841. Let's say it one more time. 1841. And it was invented by an Englishman. Sir Richard Owen in 1841 invented the name dinosaur from two Greek words, dinosauria, which really means terrible lizard, or great big animal on four legs. See, boys and girls, the King James Bible, I'm sure many of you have heard of the King James Bible. It was first translated into English in 1611, and then there was a revised edition in the 1700s, but the word dinosaur wasn't invented until 1841, so you wouldn't expect to find the word dinosaur in that Bible. I'm a little disappointed you don't find it in some of the more modern translations. I think you should. But you see, there is a word in the Bible that means much the same anyway. Who knows the name of this creature? Oh, a dragon. Mr. Hand, do you believe in dragons? Well, you know what's interesting? Mums, dads and teachers, boys and girls, there are flood legends all over the world. The American Indians, the Fijians and so on, the Eskimos, the Australian Aborigines, even back to the Babylonians, and they have stories that sound like Noah's flood. You know why? Because they're all descendants of Noah and they've handed down these stories and changed them. The real record, of course, is in the Bible. Well, why do you think there are dragon legends all over the world? Dragon legends in China, the Chinese bred dragons. Dragon legends all across Europe. In fact, here are some dragon's heads that look like, well, maybe a T-Rex. And nobody knows when they were carved, but they're over in England. And they were probably carved maybe a few hundred years ago. When you go to the country of Wales, you know, there's a flag that the Welsh people use. And I want you to have a look at this flag, because on this flag, when you have a close-up look, we better get up the right way here, buddy. When you look at that, what's it look like? It looks like a dragon, that's right. And that's the Welsh flag, because they believe that there were dragons in their history. And the dragon legends all over the world. You know, boys and girls, I don't believe dragons were just mythical creatures or anything like that. I believe they have a basis in something that was real. Did you know in the Bible the word dragon is used in the Old Testament a number of times? It's a Hebrew word. It's pronounced tanin. Can you say tanin? And when you go to the Bible, you find it, for instance, in Isaiah. I know you over here in America say Isaiah, but can you say it like an Australian? Isaiah. Much better, much better. Okay, what's that word in yellow there in Isaiah 43:20? Dragons. And what's that word there in Jeremiah 14:6? Dragons. Boys and girls, I believe what we call dragons were really what? Dinosaurs. We just renamed them in 1841. We renamed them as dinosaurs. But you know, the Bible doesn't just talk about land dragons. The Bible also talks about a dragon that is in the sea called Leviathan. He's described in detail in Job 41. And in Psalm 74, it's talking about the dragons in the waters. You know, it's possible that those dragons in the waters could have been something like the great Kronosaurus or the plesiosaur. Who's heard of plesiosaurs? Have you heard of plesiosaurs? Okay. And then there's also an interesting passage in the Bible that talks about a flying serpent. And commentaries say some interesting things about this. But you know, scientists actually today talk about creatures that flew on this earth that they call flying serpents. They find the bones of creatures like the Rhamphorhynchus. Who's heard of the Rhamphorhynchus? Have you heard of that? The flying reptile. And the pteranodons. Who's heard of the pteranodons? Or the pterodactyls? Yeah, there's Buddy Davis when he was a lot younger, holding a pterodactyl. That's when he had hair. Whoops, I probably shouldn't have said. That's why he wears a hat. Is that right? No, I won't tell people that. Do you know that Buddy has actually sculpted a dragon? Now that dragon, Buddy's dragon, is actually based upon the shape of a dinosaur called Baryonyx. And he wanted to show you how people could take a dinosaur and embellish it a little. And today we think about those dragons that people saw in the past. You know what else is interesting? Who's heard of fire-breathing dragons? Do you think there really were fire-breathing dragons? You don't? Well, you know, when you go to the Bible, in Job chapter 41, it talks about a beast called Leviathan. Can you say Leviathan? And it talks about the fact that there were burning lights out of his mouth and sparks and so on, and then a flame goes out of his mouth. Mr. Ham, do you really think there were fire-breathing dragons? Well, if the Bible says so, then I believe that there were fire-breathing dragons. I mean, we even have little creatures like there's a beetle in the world today, a tiny little beetle. It's called a bombardier beetle, and it has little twin cannons in its rear end sort of thing, and it shoots out, you know, smoke and gases at 212 degrees centigrade, almost like a fire blasting beetle. I mean, if a little beetle can do things like that, do you think a big dragon could maybe breathe fire? In fact, Buddy, I understand, now you've traveled to different parts of the world and understand that you captured a little fire-breathing dragon, is that right?
Yes, I did. I was in South America, and we got this, and some of the people told us they believe that it's actually a baby dragon, and somebody said it's a fire-breathing dragon. I think it's just a little lizard.
Well, it just looks like a lizard to me.
Yeah, I've got it in here. Let me tease it out. It don't want to come out. It's a reptile, so I keep this cloth on it to keep it warm.
Its jaw's moving. I don't want it to bite me here.
Just real careful.
Can I just?
I don't want to get it upset. They said if I get it upset, the trouble could be. Anyway, this is it.
It just looks like a little lizard.
Yeah, but whoops.
Oh boy.
Whoops. I think he's upset.
He's a real fire-breathing. You better get that away.
I think I better.
Yeah, why don't you? Yeah, boy, man. Well, I better be careful the next time I look at one of Buddy's lizards. I think he singed my eyebrows, actually. Well, you know what, boys and girls, we do believe that maybe in the past there were fire-breathing dragons on the basis of what the Bible says. But let me show you some of the other dinosaurs Buddy has sculpted. Does anyone know the name of that one? A Stegosaurus? Okay. And you know what else Buddy has sculpted? His latest dinosaur is a T-Rex. And he made it 40 feet long, 14 feet high. There he is doing the legs, as you can see there, and then the front legs. And then it's nearly finished. And then when he finished it, he took it for a test drive just to make sure everything was okay. Took it out around the cities and on the freeways. I hate to tell you this. Did you know that most dinosaurs were pretty small? Did you know the average size of a dinosaur is the size of a sheep? What was the average size of a dinosaur? The size of a sheep. Did you know that many were as small as chickens? If they'd have survived to today, we would have had Kentucky Fried Dinosaur instead of Kentucky Fried Chicken, wouldn't we? And you know what? When evolutionists eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, they think they're eating dinosaur because they believe that dinosaurs evolved into birds. Now, I have a real problem with that. I just don't believe dinosaurs could evolve into birds. And you know what? There's certainly no evidence that that's true. Actually, if it was true, I'd be worried about finding my turkey at Thanksgiving, wouldn't you? Maybe it was part dinosaur or something. No, it's impossible that dinosaurs could have evolved into birds. But then I have people say, Mr. Ham, are you saying that T-Rex lived right beside Adam? Yes. You mean T-Rex with all those sharp teeth, there we go, inside a T-Rex mouth? Yes. Don't you think that Adam would have been a little concerned when T-Rex was considering lunch? Why? Wouldn't it eat whatever it wanted to eat? Well, no. Do you know, when you read the Bible in Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God says that originally Adam and Eve were to eat plants and fruits, and then the animals in verse 30 were to eat plants. In fact, people weren't told they could eat meat until after the flood. Originally, before sin, all the animals, Adam and Eve, they were all vegetarian. By the way, mums, dads and teachers, an important point here. Many Christians believe in millions of years and think that that's okay. But if you believe in millions of years, you've got a problem. Because as soon as you believe in millions of years, then you've got all those fossils all over the earth with dinosaur fossils showing evidence of diseases like cancer millions of years before Adam sinned. But when God made everything, he said everything was very good. Was there any death in the world, boys and girls, then? No. Were there any diseases like cancer? No. See, originally there was no death. Something happened to change all that. Originally our diet looked more like this. Doesn't it look nice? Yeah, that's because it comes from Australia. That's why it looks nice. So originally T-Rex, when he was considering food, was considering plants and vegetables to chop away on fruits and plants and things. And here's a T-Rex chomping away on, as you can see, a fruit there, a cantaloupe, or we call them rock melons in Australia. And you say, Mr. Ham, wait a minute. T-Rex obviously has sharp teeth. He's obviously a meat eater. Boys and girls, just because an animal has sharp teeth doesn't mean it's a meat eater. It just means it has what? Sharp teeth, exactly. See, you understand that. You know there's a lot of animals today that have sharp teeth that don't eat meat. By the way, you need sharp teeth to eat certain vegetables anyway. You imagine, in Australia, we eat pumpkin as a vegetable. And we don't put it in a pie like you do. I don't know why you do that. Why do you ruin pumpkin by putting it in a pie and mixing all those spices with it? No, we make pumpkin up as a vegetable like you cook potato. And some of the pumpkins we have, you almost need an axe to chop them open. Do you think it needs sharp teeth to eat them? Absolutely. Here's an animal, skull, that looks like a sort of a savage animal, but you know what it belongs to? A giant panda, and the giant panda chomps mainly on what? Bamboo. I took my children to the San Diego Zoo once, along with 5 million other people on the same day, and we lined up, and we finally got to the panda exhibit, and the guide said, do you realize the panda evolved by evolution to get sharp teeth to eat meat, so now it can eat bamboo? Guess what I said to my kids? It's designed to do what it does do, and what it does do very well, doesn't it? Don't you think they think it did? I did too. We had a great time talking about the panda. You see this animal, boys and girls? It's a savage little animal that flies around in Australia and it just rips into fruit. It's a fruit bat. I was interested one day at the Taronga Park Zoo in Sydney. I saw a sign on the bear exhibit. It said, although all bears have teeth designed for eating meat, their diet consists mainly of plants. Does that make sense? And in fact, at SeaWorld, I went to the polar bear exhibit, and they tell you what the polar bear eats. A variety of red meat, and then it eats lettuce and oranges and broccoli and sweet potato and celery and tomatoes and carrots and grapes and watermelon and rock melon, and so it goes on. Boy, it sure eats a lot of plants, doesn't it? And a lot of fruits. Here's another interesting animal. Do you know what that monkey from South America eats? You say anything it wants to eat? Actually, it eats mainly nuts, fruit, and vegetation. So just because an animal has sharp teeth doesn't mean it's a meat eater. It means it has what? Sharp teeth. And before Adam sinned, all the animals ate plants, and after he sinned, things changed. And it's possible even God changed some of the animals in some way that we don't even understand today.
Okay, boys and girls, are you ready for some questions? Here's the first one. What is the history book of the universe? Is it A, the Encyclopedia Britannica, B, the Bible, C, Webster's Dictionary, D, Clifford the Big Red Dog? The history book of the universe is B, the Bible. This one is true or false. You are just an animal. False. You're not just an animal. You're made in the image of God, and you're very special. What animal has a bill like a duck, hair like a bear, tail like a beaver, lays eggs like a turtle, feeds its young with milk like a mammal, and has poison like a snake? A, pelican, B, penguin, C, platypus, or D, the porcupine? The answer is the platypus. The next time somebody says the earth is millions of years old, what do you ask them? A, are we there yet? B, where are we? C, who are you? D, were you there? The answer is, were you there? What is the name of Ken's favorite dinosaur? A, Brachiosaurus, B, Theosaurus, C, Stegosaurus, or D, Tyrannosaurus Rex? The answer is Tyrannosaurus Rex. Who invented the word dinosaur? Was it A, Ken Ham, B, me, Buddy Davis, C, Sir Richard Owen, or D, Abraham Lincoln? The correct answer is Sir Richard Owen. He invented the word dinosaur in 1841. What is the average size of a dinosaur? A giraffe, B, elephant, C, sheep, or D, rhinoceros? Well, the answer is C. The average size of a dinosaur was usually no bigger than the size of a sheep. What did Tyrannosaurus Rex eat before Adam sinned? A, anything he wanted. B, fruits and vegetables. C, hamburgers. D, hot dogs. Well, the correct answer is B, fruits and vegetables. Remember, there was no death before sin, so everyone and everything ate fruits and vegetables. Casey and I would like to thank you for being with us today. We hope that you had a lot of fun learning about God's creation. Remember, you're made in God's image, and He loves you very much.